Well, Marianne, I am so excited to have you here sharing some really cool things. And I want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about your books.
My writing career started in 1987 when I got a job at Focus on the Family, and then I got to help start Clubhouse Magazine, which is for kids 8 and up, and then we did Club Junior, which is for kids 3 and up. And so I was immersed in children's literature, and then around 2010, fast forward a couple of years, we started a book line connected to Adventures in Odyssey called the Imagination Station. And basically, they have just done really well over the last 10 years, and we're at 1 million cumulative sales.
Tell me the age group that you are writing the Imagination Station books for.
These are for kids age 7 and up, but mostly it's for third grade boys, 9, 10, and 11-year-old boys who love action and adventure and really aren't interested in reading anything else.
So tell me a little bit about the importance of the covers on the Imagination Station books.
Okay, so the covers need to have a lot of action on them, and if possible, an animal. So I have a book called In Fear of the Spear, and I saw with my own eyes, I saw a boy in a bookstore. His mom let him look at the series, and then they walked away, but he really, really wanted this book, and he grabbed it because it had a leopard on the cover. I have 2 books with knights on the cover, and those are the 2 that sell the best. And those are Revenge of the Red Knight and Hunt for the Devil's Dragon.
Because you shared once with me that the cover is so critical to what you're doing that sometimes you work a little bit backwards. So tell me about that.
Well, I knew that natural disasters were a big draw for kids, tsunamis, volcanoes. So I went looking and reading about natural disasters, trying to find one that had a Christian angle. And finally I did. The Great Kanto earthquake of 1920 in Japan had a tsunami, and then the whole city burned down, and it was a legitimate inferno. And I found a Christian missionary worker who was there doing the relief efforts. And so I was able to tell that story, get my inferno on the cover, and then also have a Christian message.
So you're really drawing the kids in, and particularly your boy readers, with something that shows action and danger and different things. And then you're really able to come in, once you kind of have grabbed their attention, really come in with, a powerful story, a true story that happened in history that really is going to share Christian values with them.
I would say it's 2/3 action, 1/3 message. So your setting is historical, and they're learning that way. And then there's always a Christian takeaway with my characters. Either they discover something themselves, or they meet somebody who's able to articulate that in history, like Marco Polo. I came in and zoomed in on the day that Marco Polo and his uncle and friend shared the gospel with Kublai Khan. So, Marco Polo had this long life, exciting life. I could have done everything, but I wanted to get that gospel story in. So we've done Vikings. We did a little Viking ship with an ominous iceberg. We've done Roman arena with a tiger in it, especially the big cats, the scary animals. Got a dragon on the cover. That was another one I worked backwards from. So we did Sir George and the Dragon. We told a literary tale. I had a really good story about Lincoln. I mean, he's just not adventurous. I mean, him sitting at the desk in the White House, or him signing a piece of paper, or talking to people, standing in a courtroom, couldn't do it. So we settled on the kids waiting outside a crowded train station, but they're in a horse-drawn carriage. So at least I have a big horse on the cover. So that one's called Terror in the Tunnel.
That's a great title.
It is a great title.
I mean, talk to me about titling your books. You've got Fear of the Spear, Terror in the Tunnel. I mean, you've got great titles.
Yep.
How do you do that?
You pick your cover scene before you even start writing your book. I know when I pitch the book, And even though they're in a series, I still have to get my books concepts and covers and titles approved before I start writing and before I get the contract. So it's very important, and everybody has to have a universal love for that cover. One of the more tough ones was when I did Tesla. And we had a nice image because he was trying to build a helicopter. So we had the kids in a helicopter, kind of precariously. And then we chose the title, and there was some bickering about the title. And finally, somebody high up just liked it and said, it's going to be Madman in Manhattan. So, because Tesla's a scientist, but science is interesting to some boys, but not all. But a madman, now there you go. You want to read about a madman, and Tesla certainly fit the criteria. He was a big thinker, a crazy thinker, and we were able to capture that with the title.
So how important is it when you are pitching a book to a publisher that you have a really powerful, and ultimately with traditional publishers, they're going to, kind of have ultimate veto power over a title or a cover design. But how important is it that you go in with something as strong as you can possibly come up with?
It's really key, because if you have to get the editorial team on board with it and the marketing team on board with it. You have to please kids, and you have to please parents, and sometimes librarians, the school people. So it's very important that you pick your subject matter very well, but your theme and the action on the cover needs to be compelling, because you're competing with, electronic games and television, sports, and things that kids do. You're competing with that to get them to spend money on your book.
How do you know what covers and titles are really going to appeal to the age group that you're writing to?
Honestly, you look and see what else is selling out there, and then just ask kids. Every time I can get into a Sunday school class, I say, write down, 10 books you would like to read. Almost all of them have animals, girls and boys. They want to read about animals. They love animals. And so I've really cashed in on that and tried to work an animal in everywhere I go. So for example, I'm thinking about writing a book on Ferdinand Magellan, and he got to the bottom, or near the bottom of Brazil, and they saw penguins for the first time. So of course I'm going to have penguins on the cover of that book, if at all possible. Yes.
I would buy a book with penguins.
Yeah. So we'll see. Right now, that's what I'm looking at.
And how many books are in the series?
Book 24 will be out soon.
Okay. And these are published with Focus on the Family.
Yeah, at Tyndale House. You can find them on Christian book distributors, or Focus on the Family store, or Amazon.
Okay. And on your website?
Only signed copies on my website, mariannehering.com. If you want me to address a book to your kid or write a Bible verse, happy to do that. It takes about a week.
Oh, how fun. I mean, as a kid, think about that. They get a signed book, a book that is signed to them from the author. I mean, if you want to encourage your kids to love reading and love books and get into it, I mean, that in itself, that would go a long way. I love that. Well, Marianne, what I want to do, I want to have you come back to Word Ninjas. And as you were talking about the research that you do for the stories, I want to have you come back and talk to us about the research that you put into these historical fiction books. I'm excited.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you, Karen.